Codependency is a circular relationship in which one person needs the other person, who in turn needs to be needed. And I have been codependent, and it is not a nice role to take in a relationship. It made me feel worthless, useless, and inferior by all means to the other person. And it was this weird game of given, and feeling that it was never enough because I considered myself less of a person, less valuable, less everything. And it made me lose a bit of my essence and my sense of self worth. I thought it was manageable, but it wasn't. I lost all sense of respect for myself, felt so inferior that nothing I did was really worth it. It felt like I was drowning in an endless sea of inadequacy. And I'm talking about this because I want to identify where it all began. I want to trace the roots of this behavior to identify if there is a pattern whatsoever, to avoid making the same mistakes in the future. And I think it all starts from what I was doing and what I thought of myself before getting into a relationship. For example, if I don't have anything really going on in my life, then of course I will find purpose in being with someone. But the moment they leave, I am left with nothing, feeling meaningless and worthless. First of all, I think it's crucial to have something going on in my life, either a personal project, my fitness journey, a sport, a job, or even a hobby. But it's essential to define and nurture those things that make me me. By not having those, I set aside my priorities all the time. And it's hard not to because I naturally want to give my time to that special person. So here comes the debate: how to balance my priorities and make room for the other person who becomes a priority. Because I'm not going to be with someone if I don't plan to treat her as a priority, if I don't take it seriously, if I'm not willing to give her my time. Then why be in a relationship at all? But then I jump to the other extreme, giving her too much time, not because she asks for it, but because I want to. And it's something I find really hard to balance. I have mentioned that I went to therapy for a while, and the main problem we were solving was this codependent behavior. My therapist and I worked through many layers of my psyche to understand why I leaned into such behavior patterns. I thought I had it all right, that I had learned to manage it, but I'm not so sure anymore. I'm confused because back then, before therapy and before moving to LA, I didn't have much going on. And that was okay since I was young. But it felt like shit when I was 20 and didn't have anything substantial. Now that I have established goals and I'm actively working towards something meaningful for me, I thought that feeling and leaning into codependency wouldn't show up. But now I have to be honest, I'm afraid of leaning into that behavior again. At least I'm aware it can happen if I don't take action now. I really thought it would be easier not to become codependent again since I know where it leads. It ruins relationships, makes things harder, and causes unnecessary pain. I wanted to talk about this to hold myself accountable, to avoid becoming codependent again. And maybe I never stopped being codependent, just suppressed the behavior, since there was no trigger until now. I'm even considering seeking professional help again. But is it necessary to go to therapy again for the same thing? Maybe it's the same problem but a different scenario. Corrective maintenance before, preventive maintenance now. It's better to prevent failures than fix things after they break down. And the thing is that being codependent is draining, frustrating, and disempowering. It should be enough to know where it leads to avoid it. But once I enter a relationship, I feel the need to be a giver. I don't want that to control me and screw things up. I'm aware of my tendency towards codependency now, which is an advantage, I think. But I need to find a solution before there's no other solution than splitting up. And I've worked hard to avoid this situation, to be conscious of my needs and protect myself from repeating past mistakes. And I feel like I have a toolbox full of useful tools, but now that I need them, it feels like the right tool is missing. And I want to take care of myself, to set myself as my top priority again. And I don't know how I'll do it, but I have to find a solution to avoid becoming codependent again for the sake of all the hours I've spent healing and learning to control my emotions. I won't let this toxic behavior control me. I won't let it make me do things I regret later on. Because the hardest part is sacrificing my needs and well being for someone else. It becomes foggy to determine where to draw the line because I want to make the right person important and a priority. But up to what point is it healthy? The main problem with codependency is that the other person gets tired of it and everything ends. Being around someone who doesn't prioritize themselves drains energy. And this applies to any relationship, not just romantic ones. It comes down to loving and respecting yourself enough not to lean into codependency, because it can become an addiction where you lose a sense of yourself within the relationship. And it's a hell of a journey to come out of that situation. In therapy, I learned about the importance of boundaries. Boundaries are crucial to maintaining a healthy relationship with oneself and with others. It's not about building walls, but about understanding and respecting my limits. And I need to practice setting boundaries again, communicating them effectively, and ensuring they are respected. This is a continued learning process, and I am committed to it. Ultimately, overcoming codependency is about reclaiming my power and autonomy. It's about understanding that my worth is not determined by how much I give or how much I am needed by someone else. My worth comes from within, from recognizing my value and living authentically. It's a journey and it's not easy, but it's worth it. And I am committed to breaking free from the cycle of codependency and building healthier, more balanced relationships. I'm committed to loving and valuing myself, to setting and respecting my boundaries, and to living a life that is true to who I am. Yo soy Bruno, and I'll see you in the next one.